Welcome to Her Lights, your home for women's sports coverage. I'm your host, Erin Foley, a stand-up comic, TV writer, and most important, an obsessed sports fan. I break down the best games, highlight the best stories, and interview the best from the world of women's sports. So put on your jerseys, stretch out your hammies, and let's do this. Hello, Her Lighters. It's Erin Foley back in the booth talking women's sports. So happy to be here. We have a fun guest today. It's my buddy, Jenny Hagel. She's a comedy writer and performer on Late Night with Seth Meyers, a big WNBA fan, season ticket holder for the Liberty. She has a new book coming out, which we're going to dive into. But before that, big bowl of joy. We need to take a second, women's sports fans. And just, I don't know, just wherever you're, just sit down, take a moment. And we need to discuss how many women's sports are happening right now, because it's crazy in like the best way possible. I was just thinking about this the other day when I was trying to figure out, honestly, I was trying to figure out what sport to watch when, and what an amazing problem to have. Yes, the world is on fire. Everything's an absolute hellscape. And I'm losing rights as a gay woman every 35 seconds. But it is the PWHL hockey playoffs. Okay, so we've got pro hockey going on. Collegiate softball. I just went to see UCLA on Sunday. We're going to talk about that. NWSL pro soccer happening. WNBA starting on Friday. Of tennis, Rome Open. That's clay court warm up to the French. Volleyball, Major League Volleyball, the second volleyball league. Their championships are this weekend. Elite Rugby, women's rugby. Their pro league, there is a pro women's rugby league that kicked off last weekend. All of this is happening right now. Obviously, it's, seasons overlapping other seasons, but oh my God, I'm telling you, it's just, I know I'm not 80, but I mean, to see this in my lifetime, I can't believe it. I feel so lucky right now that I have a problem picking what sport to watch. Well, it's good to have a joyful problem instead of the constant sinkhole we're in. Okay, obviously I can't cover all of the sports right now, but we'll cover just a couple, and then we'll dive into the interview. PWHL playoffs. It is okay. So let's just break this down real quick. We've got Minnesota playing Montreal. Right now, as I record this, only game one has happened. So Minnesota beat Montreal 5-4 in overtime. All of these games, I swear to God, they're going to go into overtime just like last year. And I interviewed Nicole Hensley, which is one of the goalkeepers on the Minnesota Frost team, about a year and a half ago. So, of course, I'm like, and I love Jillian at a bar of their own in Minneapolis. So I'm always cheering for the Frost. But they won the first 2 years, right? We're on year 3 of the Pro Hockey League. They won back-to-back championships. So I'm like, I'm good. We're good. Plus, I had Haley Scamora on last episode. She's a fantastic player for the Montreal Victoire. So I'm all in. I'm all in with Montreal. And Minnesota, my God, you just never want to play them. 5 goals against Henri Desbaillon. That is a just killer French accent. She's the goaltender for Montreal. An Olympian, an amazing goalie, probably the best goalie in the league. I don't know how that's going to shake down, but also Montreal has been number 1 or number 2 the last couple of seasons, and they get booted out immediately in the playoffs. So I think it's a little bit of psychological not greatness. That's a term that's going on. I think they just need to overcome this mental piece of it too. So we'll see. On the other side, Ottawa versus Boston. This is going to be a grueling, fast, physical barn burner. Boston wins the first game. Ottawa takes the second game. Now, listen, as a New Yorker, I never root for anything Boston, but God damn it, this Fleet team, they've got so many just like really fun players. Megan Keller and Erin Frankel, are superheroes from the Olympics, gold medals. And then on the Ottawa side, you've got Gwyneth Phillips. She was the other goalie for USA Olympic hockey. So she's in goal for Ottawa. But I'm going to cheer for Ottawa, and I'll tell you why. Carla McLeod, she's the coach of Ottawa, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 2006 and 2010 for Team Canada. Stay with me. Fierce player, fierce coach, so feel good. She is battling breast cancer right now. She had to leave the team multiple times over the course of the season to get treatment. And now she is back on the bench coaching. And it's just like, listen, she's back on the bench. All the teams, all the whole team were high-fiving her the other day, like not a dry eye, in the entire arena. And when I don't know if you do this, fans, but as you like when your team's not in it, right? Like I always pick New York team, so it's New York Sirens is my team. When they're not in it, then there's a whole like list of like, okay, what city do I like? What's the feel good players? What's the backstory? What are the stories? And then I get like hooked into a team. And honestly, after watching like men's teams my entire life, like there's such built-in rivalries. And I think as women's sports progress, I mean, obviously the talent's been there since year one, but as they create these more and more rivalries, I'll start to hopefully be able to hate teams. Right now, I'm like, yeah, I sort of dislike them, and it's just for no really good reason. Anyway, start watching these playoffs. This is the semis, right? And so we got Ottawa, Boston, Montreal, Minnesota. Just so fun. Just high action. The game just flies by. You're going to love it. So dive into that. The other one I want to cover is softball. Regular season just finished this past weekend. So we were heading into this week, we're heading into conference championships. Now, listen, if you've got your team, great. You're locked in. You're going to watch everything. If you don't have a team, this is a great week to get to know these teams. These are all the conference championships. So all over the country, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. Look up a college, pick your alma mater, pick your partner's college. Just go into the top 20 softball programs, pick a couple teams and start watching them. Because then when you watch them, you really get to know the storylines. And you're just, you're so locked in heading into the playoffs, which will happen the following week. For instance, for me, I adopted UCLA when I moved out here to LA almost 20 years ago now. And so I've been following UCLA softball since day one, pretty much also because Lisa Fernandez, one of the greatest of all times, she is the associate coach. So she's on the field, third base coach. And of course, I'm just like, oh my God, I get to see Lisa Fernandez. I never saw her play live, but I get to see her coach, which is, pretty incredible. So UCLA was super fun. We went to the game on Sunday. I took my niece who just started playing softball. She's 15, and my sister and her husband, and we all went. It was senior day. UCLA has three seniors that, of course, I've watched now for 4 years. Taylor Tinsley, Megan Grant, Jordan Woolery, just total badasses. They all are going to be playing for our pro league, Athletes Unlimited, sorry, softball league. That kicks off in June. I'll cover that and I'll talk you through all of that. But Taylor's our fantastic pitcher, and Megan Grant and Jordan Woolery, this 1-2 punch, I think they call them like the Smash Sisters. Their records are insane. Megan Grant, right? 35 home runs this season, right? Second in the entire softball league. Broke the UCLA single season record, previous set 31 set by Stacey Newman in 1999. She has a 478 batting average, 0.478 batting average, which is insane. Jordan Woolery, 33 home runs, 106 RBIs. She's the fifth NCAA player to ever have 100 plus RBIs in a season. She's batting 529. Can you stand it? I can't. I'm sitting down. Sorry, I have to get that in at least once an episode. Together, they're the first teammates in NCAA history to each hit 30 plus home runs in a single season. I mean, it's just so fun. So listen, if you're looking for a team, UCLA, grab them. They're super fun. I would just say like maybe not Oklahoma because they win every year, even though they're incredible. Okay, so pick your poison. There's 8,000 sports going on for to enjoy women's sports, and oh my God. Okay, we're shifting gears now. Listen, we spent a lot of time on the show celebrating what women do on the field, on the ice, on the court. Today, we're going to talk about the rest of it, life, relationships, all the messy stuff. And I brought in an expert, my buddy Jenny Hagel. She's an Emmy-nominated TV writer and comedy performer, best known for her work on Late Night with Seth Meyers, where she created the beloved recurring segment, Jokes Seth Can't Tell. She served as head writer and executive producer for The Amber Ruffin Show on Peacock and has received two GLAAD Award nominations for her work addressing LGBTQ issues on television. She wrote a new book, and we're covering it today. It's called Advice No One Asked For. It comes out next month. I read an advance copy, absolutely loved it. So today she's handing out advice to all of us, including some beloved female athletes. We're weaving in advice in women's sports. You're going to love her. Let's jump right in. First of all, just a huge congratulations. You wrote a motherfucking book. You did it. Here it is. Boom. Advice No One Asked For by Jenny Hagel. I mean, holy crap, you did it. I'm so proud of you. I'm beaming.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you. It's a really accurate title. Nobody asked me to write that book. No one was clamoring for it, and yet there it is.
Well, I love it. And listeners, we're going to have a really fun episode today, weaving advice and women's sports. And it's, I'm just so excited. First of all, just to sit down and accomplish this is absolutely huge. But also, I read it, absolutely loved it. And I wasn't sure like what to expect. And it was just like these amazing stories from your life weaved in with advice. And the whole time it's like, take it or not. Here's what I got. But I felt like I really got to know you as a person. Like it felt like this really wonderful read of just you know, childbirth and coming out and science projects and procrastination and all of it like was just covered so well. It was so well written and it really just felt like I was just, having a conversation with a friend and it was wonderful.
Oh, that's really lovely. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, all the writing I've done in my career has been writing for performance, whether it was for live theater or TV, and I haven't done just prose writing. And so it was really fun for me to get to try to use a new part of my brain. And I think also too, essays are really lovely in that they allow you to kind of play with that tension between like serious and funny. And I feel like I got to kind of dig around and say some things that like I was interested in saying and exploring without having to worry that it like with performance, I think you have to load jokes in more, which is
Yeah.
not to say like, the book isn't funny, hopefully.
Of course
I
the
mean,
book is funny. You're
but
hilarious. Yeah.
but you're very nice. But I think it was nice to be able to, oh, like I can dig around in like a particular theme or subject more before I have to worry about laying in a joke. Like I can let an idea breathe more.
Yeah.
I felt like so it was just interesting. It was really cool to get to explore a new way to write.
Did you feel like an athlete while you were writing? And then when you finished, it's like you crossed the finish line?
Um, I don't want to say I felt like an athlete because it's the most inactive thing you can do. It is truly, other than sleeping, the most sedentary activity. I will say I was like on a regimen and on a schedule. And I remember there was even like one weekend where I like went out with friends and I have this friend who lives outside the city. So like I packed a suitcase and a bunch of us went out and I stayed at her house that night. Like we drank and we went to a bunch of different bars. And then I got up the next morning at 6 and I left because I was like, gotta write. I have a certain number of words I have to hit today and to stay on schedule. So I will see you guys later.
What
Um,
I mean,
but,
that's impressive. That sounds like an athlete to me.
well, I'm
So
basically an athlete. Thank you for saying what everybody else was not brave enough to say.
I mean, absolutely. I'm almost going to say like it feels like you're an Olympian. I mean, it's very close. I mean, to set
Thank
a
you.
goal of writing a book and then you do it and it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. There was a couple I just want to read, listeners, and listen, it's all going to weave together nicely with women's sports. So don't panic out there. Nobody's panicking. Um, there was a couple I wrote down a couple things because I was dying laughing. Hold on. No, hold on. Yep, I did one of those things where you tuck the page in and then you're like, where is it?
How dare you desecrate my book by folding
Oh
over the.
my
Also, if your
God.
listeners are worried that this isn't enough like sports related, I do want you to know that below I'm on an exercise bike right now. You just can't see. I am pedaling so fast.
We're going to get to women's sports stories, and Jenny's going to give advice to athletes. So this is what's coming up. But I did want to take a moment, obviously, and promote the book and promote your amazing work. And anybody also that reads a book start to finish it's an Olympic
In this era,
feat,
I know,
right?
truly. Yes.
Okay, this is just, I'm going to just read a couple of snippets that made me laugh. This is when you're talking about, this is when you're talking about having a baby, and your whole, what is it? IVF, right? IVF, process. You're like, finally on May 5th, as the rest of America headed to bars to appropriate Mexican culture, I headed to the clinic to get that single chosen embryo put inside of me. I'm not a doctor, which means I have no idea what device is used to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's a t-shirt cannon. Doesn't that seem right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. That made me laugh so hard.
So, because I really was, I was thinking like, well, yeah, they shoot it inside me, and I'm like, what is strong enough to shoot something inside someone and then it produces life? And for some reason, that's the first thing I heard of or I thought of, and truly, but that is a really accurate representation of my understanding of the scientific process of making a baby. Like I went through it start to finish and still only have the lightest grasp on what happened. All I know is I did a bunch of things and doctors didn't said a bunch of things, and now there's a 12-year-old who lives at my house. So
Who's
I don't.
wonderful. I've met him. You did a
Oh,
great job. You did a
thank
great
you. Yeah,
job.
he's a good guy, but I feel like yeah, if you want to know about the specifics of the IVF process, I am great for giving you vague answers. If you want vague answers to that about that process, I'm here.
Who doesn't want vague answers when it comes to childbirth?
Like I don't know, they shoot it inside you, and then you're like very hungry for like 10 months, and then it like rips its way out of you,
Yeah,
and then you have to tour daycares.
there you go. That
Process.
sounds that sounds like something I will never do, but I
The
do
craziest part about
enjoy.
having a baby that nobody talks about, this is the craziest part of having a baby that nobody talks about, is that right after the baby's born, you still have an IV in your arm. You have to call the Social Security office and you have to go, hey, I need a Social Security number for a person who just got created. It's
Wait,
so weird. It's
immediately?
yeah. It's like I mean, I did it from the hospital while still wearing like a paper gown. And it's the
Wow.
craziest customer service phone call you'll ever make because you're like, hey, yesterday there wasn't a person and now there's a person. So can that person have a serial number? So
Oh
weird.
my God, that's so random.
And then they're like, okay, what's the person's name? And you're like, oh, hold on, I just picked it. It's it's the craziest phone call you'll ever make.
Oh my God, I love it. I think
Yeah.
one of my favorite moments is like I have a good friend who a good friend's sister gave birth, and they're a quirky, awesome family. We got the birth announcement over email, like, hey, I'm just gonna pick a name. Let's say it was Isabel. I honestly can't remember. And it's I'm not doing the story justice, but you'll get the point because the name really matters, but I can't remember. So it was like, I'm like, oh, Isabel, great, great, great. A week later, we get another email saying, hey, we hung out with our baby for a week, not an Isabel. We're gonna go with like Trisha. And I was like, okay. Like it made me love them so like I already was like on board, but someone like we hung out with our baby for a week and we weren't feeling the name and then they change it. I'm like, I love it. I love
I
it.
honestly I respect it because I was shocked when I had a kid how quickly and clearly their personality is visible.
Really.
It is shocking. And I don't mean that from like a parenting, like a sentimental parenting standpoint. I mean that from a fascinated, like human development standpoint. Like obviously people come into clearer focus as they grow and they're shaped by their experiences, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But there are so many things about my son that were clear from day one pre-verbal. And it's just so interesting to me, like how we all come out pretty much who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. There was I know you talk about in your book how you didn't want twins. I am a twin. But I totally respect the two for one. Um, but yeah, there's things that I do to this day that my sister does to this day that like she walked first, she talked first. She like, I wanted to hang out and like with a bottle for 17 hours. She chugged it and was like, get me the hell out of here. All of that has stayed the same. Like,
Yeah.
I want to do a 7 hour dinner party. I can barely get her to sit down and like have a half a bite and she's like on to the next thing. It's just
So interesting.
interesting, like these patterns that you get into.
Humans are fascinating, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh, and then all right, just a couple more things and then we'll do it. We'll do advice and we'll talk about the WNBA as well. Um, you have so many good pieces of advice. I wrote down a couple things. I do freeze my bananas. And I was like, yep, on point. I haven't made that amazing ice cream that you're talking about. I'm telling everybody, get this book. Call mom. I'm always like, yes, I don't need a reminder, but sometimes you do. So those are like very good pieces of advice that I try to adhere to already. But this last one I loved, and that was put something in the mail, in real mail, mail someone to a friend, a parent, relative, whatever it is. I love getting mail. And it's like once a year, maybe on my birthday, I'll get a couple birthday cards. And so I started doing postcards. Of course, I've stopped, after I read this book, I'm like, it's a good reminder. Even in postcards, you get no one even knows what a postcard stamp is anymore. I just use real stamps. But when I get a postcard, I light up, and it's very easy. You just throw a postcard in the mail, and I love that piece of advice.
It's the easiest, cheapest way to make someone's day. And
Yeah,
it's such an interesting, and the greatest thing about sending mail is the price of the stamp stays the same-ish,
yeah.
but the value you get out of sending mail gets bigger and bigger as time goes on because people are sending less and less real mail. So you will just get this exponential return. Like for the price of a stamp, which as you said is a mystery, no one knows what it is. Um, you just write one sentence down, and you send it to somebody. It doesn't even really need to be anything because just the fact that they went to their mailbox and got something other than a bill is so exciting.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned in the book, like one time I went through this like really terrible breakup, and I just got a card from a friend, and all it said was just a reminder that you're hot.
I love that.
So
I was
lovely.
dying.
That's all it said. And of course, like right after a breakup, that's when you feel the least hot. You're like, no one will ever love me again.
Yeah.
And she just all she wrote was just a reminder that you're hot. And she stuck it in the mail and it was on my fridge for months. And it was just it made my day to think about that someone cared enough in an age that no one sends mail to pull out a card, maybe acquire a card, sit down and write it. Go into whatever the last point in our text thread was that she came to my house and I said my address. Right? Acquire a stamp somehow. Walk to we're in New York, so you don't have a mailbox in front of your house. You got to walk to whatever the nearest corner is. And just to know, it doesn't even, at that point, it doesn't even matter what's in the card. To know that somebody cared enough about me to do all of those steps means so much. And so I can't encourage people enough to send someone just even a one sentence piece of mail. They will remember it on their deathbed.
I love it. Yeah, it fired me up again to like get those postcards out. And I started doing it because my friend Molly sends postcards all the time. Like that's her thing. And every time I get a postcard from her, it's in this random place or from her house. It makes me it makes my day. So I was like, okay, that's another great piece of advice.
I have
Um,
to say, I just want to interject. I think it also reminds me of a piece of advice that is not in the book, which I think is important and I try to remember is as much as you can, reduce the amount of friction between you and a thing you want to do. So like I really like that you said you want to send postcards because that like then there's no envelope. But also like if you get some stamps, put a stamp on each one of those and have 10 stamped envelopes or postcards in your desk. And then when you think of someone, all you have to do is write it and it's done.
yeah.
But like the fewer steps there are, then the more likely you are to do it. Or like I have a really close friend group and at one point somehow it came up like, wanting to support people when they're going through a tough thing. This idea came up. And we went around the room and, I was like, you know what, let's make a list of how everybody likes to be supported because some people want food. Some people want you to call them. Some people desperately do not want you to call them. Some people want help with a chore. And so we all went around the room and said the kind of support we like. And then we made it in a list and I texted it to everybody. And then when someone is going through a hard time, there's fewer steps. You don't have to think, oh, okay, what do I know about Erin? What is she like? What is she not like? How do I reach out to her? There's so much less friction. There's just like, great, now I just go to the list and I do it. So I'm a big fan of reducing friction between you and a thing you want to do, especially if that thing is fun or nice.
I love it. I love it. Another thing that I loved was the phrase "when you pitch, you win." That's it, right? That's yeah.
Yes.
Because and you can. you can describe that moment. But I think it really correlates to everybody's life, especially also women's sports. And for me in my life of just like, I've been putting off lifting for like a year. And I finished the book last night and I was like, I'm gonna lift today. Like again, it's like when you do it, you win. Like you just got to put yourself out there. You just got to sit. Like you got to do it. And I love that. I don't know if you want to talk about that for a minute, and then more advice
Sure.
for female athletes.
When you pitch, you win is a admittedly very corny phrase that I came up with like, I don't know, 15 years ago, when I was working on my very first late night show. And it was just kind of the idea. I said it one time sarcastically in a writer's room because we were all pitching ideas and a bunch of them were failing and were like not going over well. And so somebody was like, I don't know, I just and they pitched an idea and it didn't go well. And they're like, I'm sorry. I said, hey, when you pitch, you win. And I just meant that like you tried. You tried and that was the victory. And I would say it like kind of sarcastically. And do you ever start doing something as a joke and then it just becomes not a joke?
Oh
And
yeah,
right?
all the time.
My career. And so I feel like I just started saying it, and then I was like, honestly, though, that's true. It's hard to stand up in a room, whether you're a comedian or whatever you do. It's hard to stand up in a room and say, "Hey, I have an idea," because it's risky. And so I think I just started thinking, I pivoted from thinking that the victory is if it goes well to just the victory is the trying. And I think that that is applicable to a lot of areas of life, right? Like to your point about working out, like there are sometimes where I'm like, ugh, I want to go for a run, but I don't know. What if I'm getting older? What if the run is slow and shitty and then I feel shitty and like, who cares? The victory is that you got out the door. It's not that you like PR'd. It's not that you like added a half mile to your run. It's that you got out the door. And I think I that is such a kinder, gentler way to approach anything you do.
Yeah, and it you start with like good juju and good momentum of just like, you know what I mean? You're like today, um, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go on my balcony. I have weights on my balcony. I'm not even gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go on my balcony. Instead of being like, you asshole, you should have been doing this literally probably the last 5 years. I'm gonna literally like reduce the scale. You know, if I just get out there and just do two arms, two legs, that's all I need. Like you've got to like, yeah, you've got to start somewhere.
That's it.
And I
I
love
think
that. When you pitch, you
And if you
win. I
need to,
like that.
if you're an achievement type focused person,
Yeah.
which I tend to know a lot of, myself included, I worry about like, well, what if I'm not the best? What if I'm not good at it? And so if you can just make the doing the point of it, the trying the point of it, then I just think you give yourself permission to try and do so many things, so many more things.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is the perfect segue. Um, I gave you a bunch of stories because I really wanted to, I think it perfectly weaves into I just love this cross section. It's just interesting, fun subject matter to do advice through a women's sports lens too. Um, Big news this past week, Allyson Felix, the most decorated track and field star, 11 medals, 5 Olympics. I mean, and listeners, if you don't know who Allyson Felix is, just take a minute out of your day and do a little Allyson Felix deep dive. What she's done on the track is unbelievable, but what she's done off the track, almost more impressive if that's humanly possible, advocating for like she had, you know, she has 2 kids now, but she was also competing when she had her first child. And Nike did not support her in this whole child rearing and time and sponsorship. And she left, and then Nike changed their policy. And she's been an incredible advocate for mothers and obviously athletes and mothers that are athletes. Anyway, she's just really just an incredible person. And the news broke this week that she is going to try to make a comeback for the 2028 Olympics. She just turned 40, so she would be, I think, just shy of her 43rd birthday. Um, what advice do you have for Allyson Felix in mounting this comeback?
Well, I want to start by saying I don't think Allison Felix needs my advice. I think she is one of the most impressive, accomplished human beings on planet Earth. Like as you said, in addition to her 3 trillion medals, Olympic medals, right? Like she changed the standard for how sponsors deal with pregnant athletes. She also, I think it was at the Tokyo Olympics. See, this is the hard thing about the age of Google is I'll say all this and then find out that some of it was wrong and I'll feel bad and
That's
everybody will
okay. This is
check me.
not a like a, buttoned up, hard hitting journalism.
This is a gotcha interview. No, but there was one Olympics, I think it was the Tokyo Olympics, where she somehow set up because what will sometimes keep some athletes who are parents from going to compete at the Olympics is they don't have childcare for the massive amount of time you have to go be in another country. So she helped arrange like some kind of network of childcare. She had a shoe line at one point. I don't know if she still has it that like if your feet grow while you're pregnant, they'll send you the new size. Like she just is an outside
Yeah.
the box thinker on an incredible level. So I don't think this person needs my advice at all. But what I will say to like, I think that there is life has different seasons to it, right? And I think when you're in your 20s, that's like a real hustle season, right? You're working all the time. I want to accomplish these things. I have these goals. I need to be grinding every moment. And in your 30s, you get to kind of you see the fruits of those labors, right? And you start to kind of climb in whatever field you're in professionally or creatively. And then I feel like often if you have been doing that for a long time, by the time you get to your 40s, you have accomplished a lot of the things you set out to accomplish. And some people do not take a moment to sit back and then just be able to enjoy the thing that they have spent their life mastering.
Mm.
And so I think what I really like is I read an interview with her where she said she was like, I'm just doing this because I love to run and I don't people are like you should stop running at this age and I don't want to. And I think that's so incredible. And I think if there is anybody who finds themselves in this stage of life, like I'm in my 40s, I feel like I wrestle with like, oh, I'm supposed to keep grinding, grinding, grinding. And at some point, it's really lovely if you can get to a mind frame of like, obviously you have to work and make a living, but can you start to allow yourself to choose the things that you do because you love them? And can you allow yourself to start to make choices based on what fills you, what feels good, and not just about like grinding, moving forward, achieving things for the sake of achievement, accomplishing things for the sake of accomplishment because they impress other people or make you feel like, can you get to a place where you get to do the thing because you love the thing? And if that's at all possible, like that's a great thing to move towards in your 40s.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's also too, it's like it's so inspiring because it really truly feels like she just like misses it, right? She misses it. It's in her DNA to run and keep pushing herself and she has nothing to prove. And she said, quote, at this age I should probably be staying home and taking care of my kids, doing all of that. And just why not? Let's flip it on its head. Let's go after the thing. Let's be vulnerable. That's when
Right.
I'm like, okay, this is when
But we
I
also
can
have this
barely
cultural,
not
yeah,
cry. Yeah. Yeah.
we also have this cultural narrative that women in their 40s should start like disappearing from public view.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I should be.
So
Well, I'm under the bed mostly in public view at well over 40.
yeah, we should not be speaking, we should not be seen. And so I do really like the idea that she's like, but I like to do this thing, so I'm just going to keep doing this thing. And I feel like she just sets a great example on in so many ways.
Yeah, it's funny too with you. Like you're a comedian, you're a comedy writer, and some of your advice is like how you get there in the book. I love because it's very funny and it's super charming, but also you land with like some really solid advice.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm relieved that you're not like, hey, wow, so I read your book and this is insane. These are bad suggestions. Do not.
No, it's just like this really great read of just like these just wonderful anecdotes, but then it lands with like, don't check your bag. And I'm like, yeah, don't check your bag.
Don't check your bag. I looked it up. American airlines in America. This is just America. Airlines in the United States lose 2 million bags a year.
Yep.
It is numerically impossible for yours at some point to not be one of them.
Yep.
And so this trip that you have planned and spent money on and looked forward to will be ruined. You will spend your whole vacation tracking your bag on the phone with the airline, buying new weird shirts that are terrible. Just don't do that. Just carry your bags on. God, if you take one thing from this podcast today or from my book, please let it be that. I will die
So
happy
true. Yeah.
100% knowing if I stopped one person from checking a bag.
I finally towards the I was probably like 15 years into comedy traveling, which is just basically every weekend going to another club where I consistently traveled with my really good friend Jason, and he could not get over that I checked a bag. And he was just like, this is so ridiculous. I'm like, it actually is so ridiculous. And from that point on, I even like 2 week like my gay boy cruises that I perform on, I do not check a bag. And I just like I'm just like I just literally cannot. And if I do once in a blue moon, I always regret it.
My proudest moment is that I went to the Golden Globes and I wrote for the Golden Globes, but also was there at the Golden Globes and was on stage in a bit. So I had to have like all the stuff you need to travel, toothbrush, contact lens solution, all that. But then I also had to have a formal gown for the Golden Globes and one that I was going to wear on television. I rolled that shit up, put it in my bag, fucking carry on only, baby. My heels,
Wow.
the flat iron that I was at some point going to use at some part of my head, everything, everything went in a carry on.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's the best way to travel. And I know people are like, I don't have enough stuff, but you really can. If you roll it and you're very judicial. I just, especially like, I just always wear the same stuff anyway. So
That's
anyway,
it. That's the other thing.
yeah.
If you're listening right now and you're thinking, there's no way I cannot do a whole trip with a carry on, here's what I want you to do. The next time you go on a trip and you check a bag, I want you to pay close attention to when you get back, I want you to look at all the things you didn't wear and see how many there are. Because
Yeah.
you pack 20 things and then you wear the same three.
Yeah.
I want you to look at them and then look at yourself in the mirror and think, if I didn't bring those things, could it have been a carry-on? The answer is going to be yes, and you're going to thank me, Erin.
It's always going to be yes. It's always going to be yes. PWHL playoffs, hockey playoffs are coming up. They start this week. Montreal plays Minnesota. Boston plays Ottawa. I probably watched, I'm not kidding, maybe 6 or 7 straight hours of hockey on Saturday. It was my first day off in so long, and I was active in the morning. I took a gardening class. I volunteered at a East Hollywood Community Gardens from 10 to 12. I had other things planned. I put on hockey and I was like, F it, I'm done. And I watched so much. And it was a delight. The playoffs start. I sent you a story of one of the greatest, just one of the greatest romances slash hockey. We're in heated rivalry craze, but Marie-Philippe Poulin and her wife, Laura Stacey, play on the Montreal Victoire. They're when New York bowed out of the playoffs, they're my team. And they are not only on the same team, they're on the same line, meaning they take the ice at the same time, right? There's the first line, second line, third line, fourth line. And they are in the first line, meaning they are the best players on offense, playing on the same line, and they're married. And they're Marie-Philippe is like no argument, she's the greatest of all time. And then Laura Stacey is like Hall of Fame. It's crazy, right? So I sent you this wonderful article. It came out maybe a year or two ago. I've been obsessed with their relationship. They're going into the playoffs again as wives. How do you navigate that? Any relationship advice for these two hockey legends?
Again, these are women who are functioning on such an elite level as human beings. I would never presume to give them advice. I'm
Or
not
if you
only
work with your spouse.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I'd have to go. Because like not only am I not a professional athlete, I'm also divorced. So I have not succeeded on any of the levels on which women are succeeding. I have not achieved any of the things they've achieved. Right? A gold medal or a successful marriage. So, but I did give I read that article and I did think a lot about working with a spouse and the way that you could keep those lines clean. And here's what I think. I am not a therapist, so take this with a grain of salt, but I'm a big fan of if there is something you are that's bothering you, that you're getting worked up about, that's stressing you out, but you can't deal with it in that moment. I'm a big fan of getting it out of your body, right? Because I don't know about you, but like if I like let's say I have like a grievance with a partner and I'm like, okay, well, but we have this and then she has work and then I have this, so we're going to talk about it later tonight. So I'm going to carry it around all day. And I'm going to be like kind of mulling it over and kind of like doing that thing where you give a speech in the shower where you're like, and then this, and then right?
Oh yeah.
Coming up with comebacks to things they haven't even said. So, and that doesn't serve anybody. Number one, you walk around anxious and worked up all day. But number two, by the time you get to the conversation, you're not in your best place because you've had 3 rounds of this conversation or 100 or whatever. So this is going to be corny, but this is what I'm going to say. If you are the kind of person who does that, sometimes it is really helpful to literally get the idea out of your body and park it somewhere else until you can have that conversation. So a thing I will do sometimes when something is stressing me out that I can't actually deal with in the moment is I will write it down on a piece of paper and put that piece of paper in a jar. Because then if I start to think about it, I'm like, we're not doing that right now. That is held in that jar. And we will
Mm.
take it out of the jar when it's time to deal with it. And that sounds silly because obviously the idea is not physically in a jar, but it feels like I have parked it somewhere. So I haven't forgotten about it, but it's being held there right now while I go about my present business. And when it's time to deal with that, then I will deal with it. And I wonder if you work with a spouse, if it's possible to like, hey, I have this work thing I want to talk about, but we're having home time. So I'm just gonna write it down. Maybe I have two notes apps, one that's like work topics and personal topics, and I'm gonna put it in that notes app so that when we're back at work, I won't forget, but I don't want to do it now while we're having dinner at home, or vice versa. We are at work in a conference room, and oh my God, you just did that thing that drives me fucking crazy. But I'm gonna park it and I'm gonna wait till we're at home because it's more of a relationship thing. And I wonder if whether it's like super analog and writing it on slips of paper or having a notes app or having like some way to keep those two things separate so that you don't forget them, but you don't cross them over and commingle them.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. I love the notes jar. It is. It's just like that sense of like it's still there, but I'm not holding it in my body. It's being held elsewhere is really great. I
Yeah,
look
there's
at
something weirdly
yeah,
helpful for me about the
yeah,
image of the jar because it has a lid on it. So it's like
yeah,
it's there, but we have a lid on it and we are not letting it out right now.
yeah.
We will open that jar at some point, but right now we're not, and we can focus on this other task at hand.
It's I've always been really curious about like I'm sure this happens in men's sports, but unfortunately no one can come out and or they choose not to, and the pressure, and I'm not judging anybody. I wish they all would. I think it would make the world and the team and themselves a better a better environment. We put these men on pedestals. So, but, to each their own. So you see a lot of couples, in women's sports, which is amazing. But how they navigate it is so fascinating to me. And we just also saw Paige Beckers go on,
Oh,
and
great.
say like we're professionals. Rumor has it they're not even dating, but even if they were, maybe they still are. Don't know. Don't think they are. Hey, we're professionals. We've played with each other for a very long time. This is the one time I'm going to answer it. And I loved how she addressed the media. I love how she was just like, listen, I'm going to say this one time and then we're going to go on into basketball questions. Because I think, in all fairness, a reporter, like, they're also trying to get like hot goss and be like, what's it like playing with maybe your partner or a ex partner or whatever. Um, but wow, I think that would just be extremely difficult, but also pretty amazing that you can share these moments like with your partner.
Well, for sure. Yeah, like how cool for oh God, what is Sloot's wife's name?
Oh, Allie Quigley. Yeah.
Can you imagine you go home from work that day and you just won the championship and that's you then you go home and kick your shoes off and you're like, well, that's the day we just had. Like that's it. Like how great
Yeah.
to be able to share that with a partner who really gets it because also they were there
Yeah.
and they also achieved it. Like how lovely. I really, really loved how Paige Beckers handled that though, because I think, yes, number one, it's important to focus on them as athletes and professionals. Number two, though, I wonder if there's a greater inclination to be fascinated by relationships in the WNBA because I, I wonder if reporters feel like they are more entitled to their personal stories because they are women. And I think maybe they feel like there's less of a barrier to entry. Like those are things they're allowed to ask. And I don't know that that's true. I think like you don't get extra access to women's personal lives over men.
Yeah.
I think another thing to remember is like these women are so young.
They're so
They're so
young.
and I'm sorry, but it's hard to not be creeped out by like some 50-year-old male
Yeah.
reporter. Like, so how about you and your girlfriend? Like, gross. That's, I mean, they're women and I don't want to infantilize them, but also like a 23-year-old is so young.
Yeah.
So like, why do you want to know about these children's relationship? Like,
It's
what?
so
What?
inappropriate and
She,
gross.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be on her or any other woman in the W to draw those lines, but she did it in such a lovely, clear way. Because, yeah, we don't want to get comfortable asking these extremely young people about their personal lives. That's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it just the whole thing. It's so funny, like when age really creeps in, especially at my age, like, we used to like, there's a whole bunch of us on like these group texts for women's sports for like the last 20 years. We're like, oh, that one's so hot, that one's so hot. And now we're like, oh, they're literally 30 years younger.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to talk about how hot the coaches are now. Like, we've reached that age. Okay. Would I marry that coach? But there we
Be
are.
honest, you're talking about Kim Mulkey, and yes, you would.
Whoa, hold on. What's coming up? Wow. Yeah, not so much. Okay. WNBA kickoff very soon. We've got preseason. Were you at any moment, I know you're a big Liberty fan. We're both big Liberty fans. We're going to, I saw you at the game last year, but we're sitting next to each other. I'm, I'm like working my way into a game with you with your season
Yes,
tickets.
please, please, please.
What are you the most looking forward to? Part one, and then two, were you nervous that we would not have a season at any point in time?
Um, I wasn't nervous only because there's so much money on the table to be had
Yeah.
that I felt like, as somebody who's not super educated about the whole CBA situation, I feel like, yeah, I think I was hopeful that there would be an agreement because the W stood to lose so much by not having a season. Um, but I went through a writer's strike that lasted 5 months, so what do I know?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
it's foolish of me to say that big corporations don't love to lose money. But yeah, I was hopeful. I'm excited. The Liberty's a lot of new players, and I'm very excited to get to know them, to like watch them, see them play, to see like new chemistry between players. I was at the game, the preseason game on Saturday, and it was just exciting. I mean, they didn't win, but it was exciting to see new players and a new, different kind of energy on the court.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. It just the rosters look so different this year where I'm just like, okay, let's see how Sabally plays with Stewie. Okay. Let's see how Reese fits into Atlanta. Like it's just so fun. It really feels like we have like a new lease on life with the WNBA. Like I really go like season by season. Like I'll be like literally so into hockey for the next couple weeks. Of course, I'm also playing WNBA fantasy. We have our fantasy draft Saturday morning. So, I'll be so locked in when the season starts, but it really feels like then I'll get like obsessed with like collegiate softball very soon. Like I'm going to UCLA game on Sunday,
Oh,
their last
great.
home game. And so, you know what I mean? It's so great because I used to do this traditionally with men's sports, right? Like I wouldn't really get into baseball until the NBA season. So and now I'm like barely registering men play anything. And now I can legitimately do this with like five different sports. And it's just like an absolute dream to be like, I guess I'm just going to watch hockey because I can.
I know. I did the Saturday you just had, I had during the Olympics. There was one morning where I just like was exhausted and I just woke up and I was like, all right, well, Sweden is playing so and so. Let me just watch that. And they got to the end, I
Yeah.
was like, man, I'll watch the next one. I was like, man, I'll watch that. And I just had like a day under a cozy blanket watching
Oh,
women excel. And
it's a
that
dream.
was a delightful day.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Um, Advice No One Asked For, Essays by Jenny Hagel. Get this book, everybody. It was so good. I really, it was just this wonderful combination of getting to know you better. I mean, we're friends, but we're still getting to know each other. And I feel like I got all these like wonderful life stories weaved into advice, weaved into charming, funny, easy to read. I absolutely loved it. And I loved that we created a podcast out of advice in women's sports.
Thank you so much. This was so lovely to get to sit down and talk to you in this way. I
I
can't wait
love
to
it.
go. I cannot wait to go to a game with you.
Jenny Hagel, everybody. Come on. Don't you just want to be friends with her immediately? Buy this book. I'm telling you. Advice No One Asked For. It's so funny. It's so charming. Absolutely love it. It'll make you happy, really. And what else do you want to do with your time? Nothing. I'm so excited to go to Liberty games with her this summer. I will keep you posted on all our adventures. Okay, people, it's time for the feel good moment of the week, and it's really cool. NiJaree Canady, she is a collegiate softball pitcher for Texas Tech. She is the best pitcher in all of college softball. She has literally done everything, really everything. National Player of the Year, 5 no-hitters, $1 million NIL deal. She was at Stanford the first couple of years. Then Texas Tech gave her $1 million. And then she comes over to Texas Tech, took them all the way to the finals or semifinals last year. But in all these accolades, she has never thrown a perfect game, which is obviously almost impossible. Well, she did it. She saved the milestone for senior day. This is over the weekend in front of a sold out home crowd in Lubbock on ESPN against Baylor. I mean, the stats are incredible. 15 batters, 9 strikeouts, 62 pitches, a perfect game. And then after it's over, ESPN was interviewing her. She grabbed the mic, and honestly, all she could do, she was just laughing. She was like giggling. She was so joyful. She was like, "Yeah, it was really cool." And I'm like, "Oh my God, really cool." I'm like losing my mind. Like, what an achievement, right? And then her teammates all come on running out because they won the Big 12 regular season title. It was just so joyful. I mean, listen, she's the best pitcher in softball, right? But a ton of pressure on her every single time she pitches because of the money, all the, listen, all the stress, all the money, all of it, right? It's not easy. It's not easy even remotely. And she goes out there on senior day and pitches a perfect game. It was wonderful, wonderful to see. I absolutely love it. And that is our show, everyone. Please take a second to rate, review, subscribe. Please leave a comment. I love reading them. I will read it on the show or email me at erin@herlights.com. Obviously, I'd love to hear from you. And that's it. Fans, friends, family, have the best week of your life.